streaming thing working and all turning on?
May not be started
It
yet.
is now.
All right, we'll call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Edwards.
Here.
Einstein.
Yes.
Neville.
Here.
Phillips.
Here.
Burmeister.
Yes.
Is there any public comments on the agenda items? Police?
I got a few things. Late December, we had our DARE officer got recertified to the newer updated version of the DARE stuff, so that's been done. We did have an accident about a week ago last Monday, or this Monday, on another unmarked intersection, west of Cal and North Marion. So that was that. And other than that, that's about it. I mean, there's been some ugly scams going on, but been trying to let everybody know, beware of those, you know, especially phone call scams, you know.
Right.
So if it doesn't sound right, hang up, or doesn't look familiar, don't answer. So other than that, that's all I've got.
Anybody have anything for Tony? Water and sewer. Matt was not gonna be able to make it tonight. Did the water and sewer committee meet, or is there anything new to report, or?
We met before the last regular session we reported right
Okay. Streets and alleys?
No, we haven't met. We'll probably try to meet before next meeting, hopefully. Just to get a feel for the year and see where we're at.
Right. There was a letter that came from the county, I don't know, a month or so ago, about, with the motor fuel tax stuff, they would like a copy of that by March 15th. Usually we don't do it till May, but we can always have it prepared before that. And you give that to the county, and if you want to use their equipment to do things, they organize that and do it for several municipalities. I know they do it for the townships too. So it might be something to look into.
So they basically want to know if they have any plans that involve motor fuel tax.
Yes.
That they can assist.
So we'll probably start, maybe I'll get a hold of Justin here this week and we'll start preparing, see what our old one was. And let's everybody think about that. Let's try to get that prepared. Oh, hopefully by the end of February, it'd be nice. Anything else for streets and alleys? Finance?
Go ahead, yeah, before.
Oh, thanks. The finance committee did meet the other night to kind of discuss paying down some of the current standing loans. As it does appear, we have some fair balance of cash on hand. We come up with an idea to pay down some of those existing loans or pay off them. There should have been a handout in all of your boxes with kind of a rundown of that. Hope it's understandable if anyone has any questions. I don't know if you want me to go over it in detail a little bit more. It's not very detailed, it's pretty straightforward. But essentially, our plan and site was to pay off the tobacco loan using money from the general fund. And then the next step was to pay off the complete line from the 2010 sewer construction loan. Paying that off in full with money from, what was it, Tim?
Both 50/50 of that 100,000 from the water fund and sewer fund. So 50,000 from the sewer fund and 50,000 from the water fund. And then the water tower, obviously from the water fund. And kind of the gist is that we're going to pay down half of the outstanding loans in this one-time payment. And then going forward each month, as Tricia determines how much cash we have left over after the payables each month, to pay down the rest of them. So that way we maintain, the concept was we would maintain a balance without draining all the funds to what Tricia felt was a uncomfortably low balance. So by the end of the year, conceivably, we should have these remaining loans down to zero. That was, to me, that was a very reasonable way to approach it without running any risky low balances in any of the funds. The second half of it, that as you can see with the fund balances as of 12/31/19, we have close to $1 million between the general fund, the water fund, and the sewer fund. Since there's no immediate large projects pending, the thought was of potentially putting some of those resources into a CD so that they can be earning interest for like a 6-month period of time, and then we would reevaluate, and so they at least be earning some money instead of just sitting there in the fund. So, in general, that's the concept behind the approach. Is there anything you guys could add? So,
With the possible CDs, if we would go that route, if they would need to be broken for any reason, some forbid something needs to be done that needs lots of cash flow, those can be easily broken for a minor penalty compared to the time and the cost it might take to set up a loan or something like
right,
that.
we're talking $200 tops in that
Gotcha.
area, so it's not,
Yeah.
it just makes sense from that perspective, so.
On this, I'm all for paying down debt. I think I've made it clear I don't like the inter-fund transfers. Would it be possible to remove that at all from the water fund to the sewer loan? From the list of transfers? So I did some checking. About 10% of our customers, water and sewer customers, do not have sewer service. So essentially like 10% of the people who paid for the water money is gonna be spent on something that they don't use. I don't know. I'm staunchly against that. If the rest of the council think it's the right move, whatever. I don't think that's the right thing to do.
So you're, just to understand, you're saying like, you don't wanna pay for the sewer out of the water fund, potentially?
Correct.
Right.
But everything else looks perfect.
To me, the 10%'s minor in the big picture. Because 10% are most likely residents that are outside the city limits, they do not have a water sewer service, they don't pay city taxes. It is what it is.
It's not all of them. I mean, Matt Presswood is one of them. He's inside the city limits. He doesn't have sewer.
What would everybody think if we, instead of going 50/50 out of the water sewer, if we took another 50 out of the general, and then that, you know, if the bottom, if the 248,707 from the general fund was our comfortable spot to be in, then that would move the proposed amount for the CD to maybe 150. And then that 50 would essentially go to the sewer fund.
I'd be more comfortable with that, but I do have a follow-up question. So that 2010 loan, when the loan was taken out, the surcharge was put on the water sewer bills, the $4 surcharge. And the understanding is that when we pay off that loan, we will remove the $4 surcharge, which goes to pay for it. So if we pay it off, will we be removing the $4 surcharge?
I would think so, yes.
I'd have to see the paperwork beforehand, before I would comment on that. But yeah, if everybody's comfortable taking the 50 grand out of the general fund, I don't have a problem with that.
So if paying off that loan requires us to remove the $4 surcharge, we don't even have to pay it off fully. Like, we can certainly pay it down and leave that amount on until we do pay it off using the surcharge money. Because once we do pay it off, we'll lose, I think, $25,000, $30,000 a year of income on the sewer account of money that was going into that debt. I guess one way we could move forward is we can make all the transfers except the 52,000, And then, once you review the paperwork, and we want to use the general fund to pay it off, I can pay that.
You thought 20 to 30,000, Andrew. I was gonna see what it was each month, but it must have been on the last month's.
That's per year, so it's $4 per customer, about 700 customers pays to you.
Okay. While we're speaking about this, coming down to the consent agenda, nothing, I don't see that you put any principal payment on the line of credit for our, for the sanitary sewer, the force main. Is that the recommendation to just extend that another 6 months?
The idea, as I remember it, was that it'd be cleaner to pay off one loan, because that's a line of credit, which is still open due to the, so it makes sense to close out one loan, and then, keep that one open until the project, and while we're still paying it down in future months was the concept, is that
Gotcha.
because otherwise, it doesn't make sense to have the two loans kind of still out there. It makes it a little bit cleaner on a bookkeeping side each
Yes.
month going forward.
I mean, if the concern is the surcharge too, we could also look at the numbers of who's paying off the 2018 line.
But we would still need to leave it open for upcoming projects.
Pay it down to $100, just to keep it open.
There was a surcharge on the water bill, but that's since been removed, am I correct? Yes.
When we paid off the water well.
The well, yes. We never did put one on there for the tower, did we? Okay. Any other thoughts or comments on this? What's everybody comfortable with? You know, back to what we were talking about not using the sewer, 50 from the sewer, and using that from the general fund. And then that would move that number. Like I said, if the 248,000 is what our comfortable number is, that would move the CD number to 150.
I would be okay with that as long, but we're under the understanding that we'll remove the $4 surcharge when that happens.
I think we should leave the $4 surcharge, because that was for the Heron lift station. We're gonna have another lift station that's gonna be needing replaced too, so leave it on there to offset the cost of that.
Good.
I believe the wording of the initial loan was explicit, or when the loan was taken out, it clearly stated that the surcharge was put in place to pay it, and when this loan was paid off, we would remove the surcharge. Like it was,
Is it on loan paperwork, or was that a council action?
I think it was in the loan paperwork, as in I believe like that's something that the bank wanted us to secure. The fact that, you know, we would add to the water bill, so we knew we had the funds each month to make
that was
the
before
payment.
us even.
Right, it was, yeah, 2010. We can definitely look at that, though. How about, this is a great proposal. Let's look into the surcharges and decide what we want to do there. We'll put this on the agenda for the next meeting to take action on, or if we need to wait till the second meeting in February, you know, everybody has a chance to look at it, give Danny a chance to look at it, and make sure we get our opinions out there so we know we're doing the right thing with what everyone agrees upon. Put it as proposed loan principal payments.
That was unaware of the surcharge stuff.
Is everybody okay with that, or?
If we're doing another well, we could, and do we know when we're gonna do the well yet?
A well?
Well, it'd be a lift station, sewer lift station. It's, you're gonna have to ask Presswood what his timeframes for that would be.
I mean, if that coincides when we pay it off, we could just offset it with another wording, however you guys wanna do it, to say, we're putting another lift station in, we need to keep the
surcharge on there, yes.
until we get this one paid off. I think that would be the right way to approach everybody and let them know what we're doing with the money.
Yes. Maybe change the amount to 350.
Whatever it needs
And we're
to be.
still lowering rates.
Whatever it needs to be. I just think that's, just to be upfront with everybody and be clear with them, I think that's the best thing to do. If you're getting rid of one, but you gotta implement it for the second, and that
Right.
way they know where the money's going.
Any other discussion on this at current moment?
I'm all about paying the bills off as much as we can.
I think we're all in agreement there.
Right, and we have the
I think
cash right now,
that's-
so we
I
have
think this is a very good,
huge influx of cash.
yes.
With outstanding debt, that take part of it down, at least save some interest.
Does anybody know what the CDs are paying right now?
What did she say?
0.75%.
Yeah.
Really? Surprised it's over half?
That's what she said, and that's the high interest.
And that's a 5-year, 10-year?
She was saying it was 6 months and it wouldn't change for the duration like you're suggesting, so.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
With that much cash in there, could you go longer for a longer interest rate, correct?
2 year at 50,000 is like 0.9. So if you have more.
I mean, you could do.
The longer you go, the higher the interest.
I mean, you could split it and do 2 different CDs, is what I was thinking.
Stagger it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm just,
No, that's, I mean, nothing's set in stone, so, yeah.
I'm just thinking of return value.
Yeah, there's no perfect way, and a lot of it is the long-term planning that Trish has been talking about from a budgetary standpoint of what large projects we want to undertake in the coming years, kind of influences whether or not that's a, because I'm all for that, you know, because otherwise it makes us look like we're hoarding cash, you know?
Right.
Good work on the finance committee. Well put together. Good that we get that addressed.
And the sewer loans, actually $2,000 less, because we made payments.
That's right.
And therefore, that would reduce our monthly payments, too.
Right.
By knocking out some of the principal on the existing water tower and all that.
Is there any public comments on the non-agenda items? Moving on to the approval of the consent agenda.
Abbott's and Associate, 1,500. Ace in the Hole, 19,260. Ameren, $896.01. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, $4,323.30. INB, $2,112.12. Julie, $602.42, and Census USA, $1,715.95.
Any questions on the invoices?
The ace in the hole, is that the second half of the ceiling for the round square, is that correct?
Seal coat. Yeah. That's the cracks thing that they did, what was it, 19?
18,000, maybe.
18,000.
I don't know where it was at.
The square was done the year before.
Right, they did Washington, at least I saw them do from the square down past towards the north.
I'm just looking at money-wise compared to what a new machine costs.
Absolutely, yes.
I didn't know they were gonna do this.
It was approved in this, it's from the motor fuel tax.
Yep.
You're right,
Yeah,
I know,
just-
I just didn't know it was even coming. I'm glad
I mean,
it's
my memory serves me correctly, I believe it was almost 70 to 80,000 per new machine. 4 years, you can have that paid off
Yes.
and have your own machine, do all the work yourself.
and that was only 18,000 linear feet.
Yep.
So,
Just something we can we'll talk about when we meet.
Definitely. Any other questions? There is no business district appropriation. And included in the motion of the consent agenda, the final action on the sewer loan would be to extend it 6 months. Are we correct in that? And that's what we will advise Tricia to do. That has to be done by February 8th.
Is 6 months the number, is
Is
that the
there-
only option?
I thought of that. Did you know by chance?
To extend it.
The line of credit, our line of credit for our force main loan.
Last time we extended it 1 year.
I say they usually do it 8 years.
Okay, so then it would be a year then. It's not done yet, so.
Right.
And it looks like you guys, from the proposal, we're gonna leave that alone for now, so we'll have to extend it then for the 12 months.
From my understanding, what would be the downside of extending it 10 years? Like, you pay interest on it or you pay it off regardless, like that?
It's a good question.
Is there a penalty paid off ever?
No,
Okay, I was just curious.
not with, this is the one from IMB, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Not at ours, we do not charge a penalty to pay off or
And
anything.
that's something you verify and make sure. Otherwise,
Would be a question for Tricia. It should be in the loan paperwork.
We just don't pay much interest, so I don't think there would be a penalty to pay.
I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda, including the extending the sewer loan 1 year.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Miscellaneous business. Laura, would you like to have the floor? There wasn't really anything in the agenda that, are you just kind of here to report, or?
Yeah.
I read the email that you were gonna start coming, which is great, so Laura's gonna start coming to meetings on behalf of the Economic Development and Planning Board.
Just to give you guys updates on what projects we're doing and whatever questions you have for me, I can send back to the board, so there's better communication between both organizations.
Right.
Tom had 4 things for me to mention tonight. The first one is the town square revitalization needs an additional city council member. Andy's been helping throughout all of it, but we need another one to help present mid-March for the SEDS application that we sent in for the grant program. So if we pass the first part of our application, we'll have to present, and having another city council member will really help our odds in the end. So, no, I'm not putting anyone on the spot.
Actually, me and Darren have been talking about
Yeah.
that in the last 48 hours, and Darren has agreed to do it, so he will be, that was another announcement I was going to make tonight.
Sorry.
But you done it for me, perfect.
Good job.
And then, that was the second item. Hopefully, we'll present mid-March for the SEDS application. The third item was the initial Local Foods, Local Places Food Committee met and toured Stahl's main store for a possible food hub in Mount Pulaski. They'll meet again, February 12th at 9 a.m. So just keeping you guys informed on that. And then the fourth item is NBC News is sending a news crew here February 5th to do a report on Market on the Hill Cooperative. So we're still getting quite a bit of press interest in what we're doing in our community.
When was the other, you said the local foods was February 4th,
Was February 12th.
12th? And the Economic Development Board meets this Saturday, February 1st,
Yes.
9 a.m.,
Mhm.
if anyone would like to come. Any questions for Laura, or anything else to add with economic development?
I guess other miscellaneous business stuff.
Yep, go ahead.
Our recycling center, so PDC, who does recycling, has been losing money for some time, and the writing's kind of on the wall. So they're gonna discontinue our recycling service of emptying those 3, like, next week. So next week will be the last pickup, and they will take their 2 containers with them. They'll leave one of them that the city owns. I don't know what we'll do with it. We'll probably need to move it, otherwise it's gonna fill up with and never be emptied. They do have an option that they are willing to do, they put a 25-yard roll-off dumpster there. And then we will pay per time that we empty it. It is substantially more. So right now, when we started with the area, it was $180 to empty the 3 of them. I think last year they increased it to like $280, and then the roll-off will be like $500 per emptying. All of these numbers are still cheaper than the county project, and because we're saving money for so long, we have built up some money in that fund. So I would be in favor of going ahead and trying the roll-off, at least for some time, see how it works out. It's hard to say how often it'll need to be emptied, so I'm guessing at least once a month, which would be like $500 a month, and I think we bring in about $600 a month, so we could still cover that. And even if we have to empty it twice a month, we have money in the fund to pay that for some time. This just came up yesterday, so there's nothing on the agenda about it, but thought I'd share.
Yes, I would advise to do what you just said. I'm good with it. It's about the same money. I don't even think you need a motion. You can just go ahead and move forward with that plan if that's okay with everybody. I think that until we can figure out what we want to do financially and or monetarily, we have to at least keep it going. We can't just tell them, hey, it's
I was
stopping
gonna
next.
say, it needs to be
it's stopping next.
reevaluated long-term at some
Yeah.
point, so.
John Utterback was always the recycling guy, and then Rachel did it, and I just filled in. I don't care about recycling. I'm glad we do it, but if you wanna look into it, I'll send you all the contacts and stuff, and go ahead.
Well, if nobody wants to do it, we'll just discontinue.
I can look into it. I can call, you said PDC, I'm sure there's other companies we can call.
PDC is who does it. The ironic thing is, like, most of the companies outside of it, they all end up going to PDC, because that's the sorting center in Pekin, so that, you end up going through like a third party, then it's going back there, and it's like, not the same. But, yeah,
Well, the sad reality is there's no market for recycled product. And unfortunately, people like to dump things down there, that historically we've had that problem, so.
True.
And that's the reason the rates are going up, because nobody wants to recycle. And since China stopped accepting our recyclables, there's just no market for it. So, to me, going, forward, it's something to seriously consider possibly discontinuing. So, because you're increasingly gonna get people dumping down there. Why should I pay for garbage service if I can get away with it dumping down there? And it's hard to monitor that stuff, so.
Right?
outside of the occasional TV and piece of exercise equipment, I'm not aware of tons of garbage making its way down there, but I know that gets thrown out there sometimes. But we haven't had like complaints from PDC saying like, hey, you guys got a bunch of garbage in there. Usually stuff gets, I don't know.
How do we know if they're dumping it in the same pile, so.
We don't.
So do we wanna
We don't.
stop recycling for a month or two?
I would
till
say we
figure it out?
need to, we can't, I mean,
Or just
we have to give them a somewhat of a notice. I would say that we need to continue it, at least with the roll-off for 1 month while we reevaluate it.
We certainly collected the money to do that. I think it's,
Because if we just pull them out February 1st, it'd be a big outcry.
Yes.
Or a big pile down there.
A big pile of garbage.
I wouldn't say it's kind of like garbage.
Well,
either.
recyclables.
Be a phase out,
But we have, like, based on how often the old dumpsters got emptied and how often, like, 3 dumpsters got emptied, it does appear like our cubic yard of stuff that gets recycled has increased by like 20%. And I'm assuming that's from the county no longer offering things, so like people outside of the town will come recycle here.
Well, and the newer round of recycling, they accept like glass too, which they didn't used to do down there.
Yeah.
They could've,
And
stuff like that.
they haven't, although they said they accepted glass for the last like 6 months, they've been landfilling it because it's more expensive to recycle than it is. All right, I'll tell Eric Shane from PDC that we'll go with the roll-off for, I'll tell him,
Get back to them.
Yeah, till we get back
like,
to it.
basically month-to-month basis.
Is there any other miscellaneous business?
The sewer pond, we had, I think Tony went out there today, so we allow citizens to go out there and dump trees and brush and stuff. I know we get like tree companies who be cutting from outside of town, bring their stuff to our sewer pond and dumping it. It's kind of like, I don't know,
What did I find out?
what'd you find out today?
As I was out there, I saw Max, and I ended up calling Matt, and I said, because Max had told me that, I guess yesterday, Matt and Josh was out there when they were dumping. So I called Matt and said, hey, you're aware of this, right? He goes, yes, I am. He goes, what I understand is they've done this before, this tree service has done this before. They've had an agreement, I don't know what, the agreement is, I don't know if they've helped us here in town or helped with.
Usually the agreement is if the tree is cut down in town, we'll take it out, out there, but I don't know how
I don't know why.
strictly
they're-
that's followed, I don't know.
Right.
I think it's slipped way beyond that now, and it's like, it's a great place to dump stuff, because they don't have to pay to get rid of it, and we're one of the last communities around that can still burn like that. So I'd hate to see that go. I don't know if we should look into like, kind of reevaluating who we allow to dump there. I think it's pretty clear we're only supposed to allow citizens or stuff from Mount Pulaski to go out there, but I don't know, I thought I'd bring it up, see what people's opinions are.
Sounds like we needed to reach out to the company doing it.
It wasn't the same company that burned the building down, was it?
No, it was not.
I'm not in favor of changing rules because one guy can break the rules. It's like a corporate thing. Doesn't need anything solved.
You said, are they helping us in any way, shape, or form? That'd be the next question. If they're willing to
If there's something there that I'm not aware of, maybe.
Okay.
I'm not aware of anything.
do it.
Like when they cut trees for us, we pay them.
Maybe that's something we can look into.
Maybe we'll bring it up with Matt at our next street now.
What's the citation for illegal dumping then?
I don't know, I think it's like $750.
$750, we just got the new sign.
Mm-hmm.
And start issuing some citations.
If they say that they have permission, is that illegal dumping?
We need to talk to.
Well, they need to come uptown and notify us, otherwise it's not on record citation.
I agree.
I guess we'll talk with Matt about that.
Yeah. I know some back history.
There might be some agreement there that we don't know about.
I'm okay, I mean, obviously, if they're cutting them for us, and I'm okay with them taking them out there if they're cutting down, not really necessarily a city tree, but a tree on private property, and it's within our city limits, I'm okay with them taking that out there, I don't wanna stop
But they're
that.
gonna have to lift a finger and document it up
I
here.
agree.
And that's what probably the stuff's up been ignored, bringing us to this situation.
Yes.
So,
I would say the load that burned down this shed was not from within city limits.
it was illegal to say that, at least, so.
On that, did you see the email, did Paul send the email to everybody about we got our $500 deductible back? Apparently there was I don't know if the insurance company tried to go after the tree service, but we did get our deductible back, so something must have been accomplished.
That's all I had.
Anybody else? There is no reason to go to executive session for possible litigation. So unless anybody else has a reason to go to executive session. All right. We'll call this meeting to an end. Thank you.
I'm just gonna, I got some.
Oh, sorry, Greg. Yeah, go ahead.
We brought Brian Adams, inspections on in about September because we were falling behind on re-inspections, and he's worked out fabulously. Since we brought him on, we did 18 initial inspections, 15 follow-up re-inspections, 3 exterior inspections, and new construction permits were 6. So at the end of the year, we only had 1 re-inspection that had been scheduled that the landlord had not fixed the problem, so we're only 1 behind at the end of the year. So we're all caught up and
That's good.
running smooth.
Good to hear. Any questions for Greg? Okay,